Okay, we are now preparing to live stream. We have with us a guest, Carlos Matni, and okay, yeah. We are now live. I'm going to mute this. And Julia, would you like to now proceed to read us the biography of our guest?
So Carlos Matni was born in, if I say this wrong, do not be Suwayada, Mount Druze, Syria in 1985. My family is fully ethnically Lebanese. Both of my maternal and paternal lineage are in Lebanon. My mom's great-grandpa came from the Bikaa Valley, and my father's grandpa came from Matn-Mount, Lebanon. That happened during the 18th century, 1870 to 1880. I graduated from high school in my home province of Syria in 2005. I studied at St. Petersburg, Russia for 2 years, pediatric medicine faculty. I left my home country permanently 8 years ago, and I've been living in Canada for almost 3 years. I'm an undergraduate third-year student at Winnipeg, at the University of Winnipeg. I'm in
It's Bioanthropology and Anthropology.
Yeah, anthropology departments. I speak, besides my 11 native tongue, Arabic standard fluent, English fluent, Russian average. I'm very interested in politics, ethnology, theology, religions, history, archaeology, linguistics, which are part of my studies. I converted to Christianity many years ago. That's really interesting. Wow. But you still consider yourself ethnically Druze since your parents are both Druze.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really neat.
Okay, so first of all, question number one. Who or what are the Druze? What is their origin? How did they come about?
Okay, so the Druze basically are concentrated or located in the Levant, which is the eastern Mediterranean coast. They were originally all of them Lebanese, but after many civil wars, they had to migrate to so many places. So they basically have communities in Lebanon, in Syria, in Israel, and a small community in Jordan. It's just a small community, and the diaspora actually as well in like the States, in Canada, and Southern America. But about it's like the original place of the Druze people is in the Levant. And actually, Druze people, there are so many misperceptions and misconceptions about Druze people. People usually think like Druze migrated from Egypt to the Levant, which is not true. There was actually a religious movement that started in Egypt during the Fatimid Caliphate period or era, and Druze people were influenced by this, but basically they were not migrated from Egypt to Lebanon, to Mountain Lebanon. Only the people who received this religious movement, who accepted this thing or converted to a new thing. Actually, it's like it's a reform or reconstruction thing. I'm not sure actually. It's there's still a controversy about it. Yeah, so basically they are Levantines, they are ancient Levantines, and people that there's another misperception about them. There's a fallacy, so people think Druze are Arabs, and so many Druze actually they say we are Arabs, but they are not Arabs. So they were brainwashed by by the majority, because here's the point: Druze people are usually dedicated and loyal. They show like an extreme loyalty to the communities which they belong to. Actually, for example, Israeli Druze are very loyal to the state of Israel. In Lebanon is the same. In Syria is the same. That's why those communities were pretty much influenced by the majority, and they started saying they're Arabs. Actually, so many DNA genealogy studies were done about Druze people that proved Druze people and Ashkenazi people, they came from the same place in ancient Anatolia, Eastern Anatolia, near like Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, those places. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but Carlos, that's also true of all the Lebanese, right?
Yeah, of all the Lebanese people. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, even my cousins that are third cousins born in Syria, they say, we speak Arabic, but we're not really Arabs.
Yeah.
That's what they say anyway.
So yeah, actually, this language, the Druze as well, they speak at the other Levantines, the Maronites and Northern Syrians, and in Israel, the Arab-speaking Israelis speak Levantines. Yeah, it's a shift actually. It's Aramaic language influenced by Arabic. It's not Arabic. So the Druze people have Gnostic faith or religion, which basically influenced by the ancient Greek mythology and philosophy, basically the Hermeticism. And those Gnostic religious beliefs came after Plato, Aristotle, and so on. And they show actually Druze people, they follow things called takia, which like which means staying crypto, something like they hide their original or real faith, because they always fear of persecution by the majority, which basically I have to say it Muslims, because since they've declared themselves 1,000 years ago approximately, they have been persecuted by the majority, by the Muslims. Either they are Shia Muslims, Sunni Muslims, whatever. Because here's like, this is what Druze always try to hide. Their perception about Islam, or how do they perceive Islam actually. Druze, they do not believe in Muhammad, and Druze are against the basic Islamic commitments actually. Some communities like Druze in Syria and Lebanon, they try to show the opposite of this. It could be political thing, it could be some influence by the other communities. It's different between Syria and Lebanon and some communities in Israel, because the majority in Israel of the Israeli Jews, they feel safe in Israel. So
yes, Israelis trust the Druze. They don't trust Palestinians as much, unfortunately, but the Druze serve in the military, and everybody feels good about that.
Yeah. So the religion could be like, if you try to visit Druze villages or Druze towns to see how the Druze live, their culture, their cultural traditions, how do they do, as an example, their other ceremonies. You can feel some Arabic or Islamic influence, but this is fake. Like, this is fake. Even their prayers in front of the other people would be very different than their prayers in secret. They have secretive prayer place called Helwe. It's like a small temple, very simple thing, and they try to hide and do their prayers, which is basically different. And that's what they always try to keep it secretive for. So something, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I saw the books, and they have some true information. They're in Germany now, and someone tried to translate them to other language. They were stolen during the Lebanese Civil War.
Oh.
And someone took them to Europe, and I think I don't know where exactly, but yeah, those books, they show up a lot of things about the true faith of the Druze people. You can ask me anything you want. Like, this is basically what I can say about Druze people.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I noticed, like, you did have a question though that you were gonna have us ask about and I guess you've already touched upon it with Islam, about the relationship between the Druze faith and Islam, but what about other faiths? Like, I heard there's some Hinduism influence and like Hellenistic influence. Like, how did those influences come into the Druze faith?
Actually, this religious movement that known as the Druze movement, well, not Druze, it's called, they call it the monotheistic. Some of them, or so many of them, they refuse or they reject the name Druze. Actually, there's another controversy about the name Druze. So many people, they say Druze people came after an early scholar called Nashtakin Darazi, or the Druze, and he was a tailor, and this means like the meaning of the name Druze is a tailor, which is not true. And so many people, they don't know, even the Druze themselves. Druze actually is an ancient word, came from an ancient language in the region, and it means the unknowledgeable people, or people of knowledge. and he was named after this, not Druze named after him. But so many people, they were trying to brainwash the Druze people and tell them to reject the name, because Muslims have been trying to convert Druze to Islam and to let them abandon the religion. So the movement started in Egypt, actually, during the Ismaili era in Egypt, the Fatimid Caliphate. They were Ismailis, like it's a branch of Shia Islam was influenced by the Greek philosophy or something. They have some Gnostic elements in the religion, and the movement started there. There were 3 or 4 Persian scholars led by Hamza bin Ali, who came from northern Iran, and he was a Persian scholar, and he was influenced by this Hermeticism, or the ancient Hellenistic philosophies or religions, and they've started to make this new movement. But actually, so many Druze believe that the Druze faith is way ancient, is way like older than this, since the time of Jethro and even way before Jethro of Midian. You know, like the story about Jethro and Moses. Yeah. So when they came out, so they were considered heretics by Muslims because they started in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, the movement, and so many people converted to this new religion or this new movement. And actually, those people belong to the same tribes, and this is the interesting thing. So the same people converted to the same new religion, as if they were waiting for something, or they were living in a secretive life, or were they crypt to something, another religions, like hiding in the way of Islam or something. So many people, most of them actually, they were in Lebanon and in northern Syria, and in the region of Aleppo, between Turkey and Syria, Hatay or Antioch and Aleppo. But most of those people were eliminated by the Mamluks and by the Turks after that. So mostly now every Druze person or individual living in the Levant is basically from Lebanon. This is how the religion started. So it was considered an offshoot of Shia Islam. That's why Muslims nowadays consider Druzes as if they are infidels or heretics, and they want to kill them, and they consider them as a part of Islam which left Islam or became non-Muslims. That's why they've started showing commitment to Islam sometimes. To see some Islamic things, we say like, yeah, we are. So many of them, they say we are Muslims, but they are not. If you try to live with them or to go deep within their religion or their faith, they don't believe in the 5 commitments of Islam. They don't believe in the prayers. They don't believe in the Judgment Day of Islam. They don't believe in the Quran. They say it's a fake book, and they say actually in the religions they don't like to talk about it because it's dangerous, because it's too risky for them, as long as they live among Muslim communities. And they have books called the Epistles of Wisdom. It's Rasail al-Hikmah in Arabic. So in these books they say about Muhammad a lot of bad things, and they try to describe him as a Satan or a demon.
Okay.
Yeah. So Druze, they believe in theophany and they believe in reincarnation. So they believe that God was embodied 10 times, and the last one was in Egypt, Al-Hakim. And they believe in Jesus, but they have different views than Christians about Jesus. And they believe in the Jewish prophets or the prophets of Judaism, and they have as well different things. And here's the point about Islam. How can I say this? They accept or they recognize the other religions, but they do not recognize Islam. It's in their faith actually, but they have to show different things to the other people just to protect themselves, because many times they were killed and they've been actually persecuted for more than 1,000 years. This thing have never stopped.
So another question is, from the point of view of the Druze, how do other cultures appear to them? How do they feel about the culture that is predominant in Lebanon or Syria or Israel, or if you go to the United States or Canada or France? I mean, what is the way that you would look at that culture?
I'll start talking about Lebanon, and basically in Lebanon they live with the Maronite Christians in the mountain. In some other regions in Lebanon they live with Muslims, but they are minority as well, not majority of Muslims. But basically they are concentrated in the mountain. The southern part of mountain Lebanon, which is called Shuf and Alai regions, and actually they get along with Christians because Druze basically are secular in the community. There's the Druze community is divided between religious and irreligious. The secular people, which is the majority, 90%, 90 to 80%, they are not committed to the religion, but they still consider Druze. And the religious people, who are the real people of faith, those people they live in isolation and in separation because they perceive the other Druze as non-believers, or they're still not clean or impure till they commit to the religion. So basically Druze get along with Christians more than Muslims because their lifestyle, the Druze lifestyle. Like Druze, they don't have polygamy. They are a monogamous community. They just have one wife, and religious Druze can drink, they can eat whatever they want. They don't have those religious commitments as the other religious Druze. That's why it's easier for them to live among non-Muslim majority, like Christians or Jews, because just the same, the Jewish people are the same. Like the religious community is small, and the secular or the religious community is the majority, unlike Muslims. So this is in Lebanon. In Syria, it's in Mountain Druze in southern Syria. There are some places near Damascus and Mount Hermon, as the same place which Julia was talking about.
Yeah, my great grandparents were born.
Yeah, those small communities are scattered villages in the mountain, but basically the Mountain Druze is the big community of Druze people in Syria. So those people, they live almost in isolation there. Like it's only Druze. Some Christian communities, small Greek Orthodox or Catholic Christians, but they're small communities. But the majority of that place are Druze. That's why during the civil war, the Syrian civil war, this place has been a little bit safe, and it was away or out of the destruction area of Syria, but because there was no Muslims, Sunni, Shia, Alawite to fight, and that's why they've been protected there. But the problem there, Druze in Syria are brainwashed by the majority. Especially like the majority, in Syria, the majority are Muslims, Sunni Muslims, and the Ba'ath Party, which is the Arab Nationalist Party. It's like this the fascist party, and they try to brainwash those people and tell them, like, you came from Yemen and you are Arabs, and you have to fight for the Arab issues and to struggle with them.
Yeah, so the people at Majd al-Shams, which is on the Israeli side now.
Yeah, northern Israel,
Yeah, so some of those, would you say, were brainwashed by the
exactly. So you know the history about the Golan Heights. So this place, the Golan, historically is the part of the Holy Land or ancient Israel, because it was part of the Kingdom of Bashan then, but it was till before the 1967 or the 6 Days War. It was part of Syria.
Yeah.
And those people were loyal to the Syrian community, and the Golan Heights was taken over by Israel or retaken. So some of those people showed some loyalty to Israel, but the vast majority of them they stayed loyal to Syria, because this is the problem. Because when Israel took over the Golan Heights, it was not an official thing. So there was a huge possibility that the Golan Heights may be turned back to Syria. And here's the problem, that they can't, it's too risky for them, and they can't do this because I believe, like, I'm sure, because I know so many of them, and so many of them are my friends. They don't have loyalty to Syria, but they have to do this because it's too risky. But I'm talking about the younger generations, the old generations in those villages in northern Israel, basically Majd al-Shams. They are still loyal to Syria because they are brainwashed. Yeah, they consider Israel as an occupation, and they have to be Syrians. but they are minority. They are shrinking because, like new generations and new generations.
Yeah.
But they're a problem actually, yeah. And they lead some attacks against people who accept that Israeli citizenship in the Golan Heights. They struggle. So basically, compared to Lebanese to Druze in Lebanon and Syria, Druze in Israel live really in safety and in security. It's a secure and safe place for them, safe home. They can do whatever they want. They can practice their religions as they want. They are a separate community. They can manage their own things. In Lebanon and Syria is different. In Lebanon, they have to be considered Muslims. Why? Because the politics in Lebanon after the civil war divided the community into two basic communities: 50% Muslims, 50% Christians. So if you don't belong to either of them, you can take nothing, or you can gain nothing of the benefits of the state. And in Syria, in Syria, about Syria, is a dictatorship and a fascist regime. So you don't have the choice to say anything. The regime deal with the leaders of the community, whom they are mostly corrupt leaders, so they can control the community after those leaders. Now, the group of Syria always show an aggressive behavior towards the West or towards Israel, but this is not true. Here's the point. The community, if you try to go to speak with the normal people in the community, they have different views about the other parts of the world. Because basically, the Druze religion doesn't have anything against the others, unlike Islam. It's you cannot convert Druze religion. Druze is a closed faith, is an ethno-religious community, so you cannot be a Druze unless your parents are both Druze. So you cannot convert to Druze. So this is not our job to convert the other people, to ask our people to try to join the other people to their faith. This is the one point. And the other point, Druze people think that all religions actually shares the same values and match at some point. That's why they don't have communities which called evil communities, or those are enemies, or we have to attack them. They always defend. They never attack anyone. So that's why they are different from, sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't want to cut you off. So I guess there was another question I noticed you had on here, and it kind of touches on this. Like, do you still consider yourself Druze despite having a different faith? And what does it mean to be Druze, I guess? Like, now that you said that you have converted to Christianity, I guess, or you're more secular, I'm not sure. But do you still consider yourself Druze, I suppose?
Yeah, actually, I converted to Christianity many years ago, and I've suffered after that because the community will reject you after that. Even the secular people, the secular Druze people are not rejected. It's the same thing. Actually, it's somehow similar to the Jewish communities, as an example. Yeah. If you are Jewish, you're still Jewish till you convert, and by the generations, you would lose your identity. And here's the same thing, the same point, like for Druze people. But because it's an ethno-religious community, it's religions, but it's an ethno-religion. When you are born to Druze parents, you are Druze. Some people try in the Middle East, especially Arabs in the Middle East, they try to change this idea or this conception, and they try to convince the Druze that you are just not only a faith, a sect of another major religion, and you are not a race, you are Arabs. Because those communities, those Arab communities, they always try to eliminate the other culture or the other identities to make a unique community or the pure community. So, like for me, even if you are if you convert to another faith or you are an atheist or whatever, you still consider Druze as long as you have Druze parents. I've done actually my DNA. I'm one of the few Druze people who did their DNA test. And I found out that the genetic map that I've got, it shows exactly, and it proves exactly the understanding that we've had before about our ancient home places. Like I found some roots in Lebanon, in Cyprus, in Eastern Anatolia, which I had nothing in Arabia, in the Arab places in Arabia Peninsula or in southern Iraq or in ancient Syria or something. It was like something that for me, like that proved only my convictions actually. So I never changed anything. I still think like I believe so many people, especially in Mountain Lebanon, they converted, they changed their faith, but they can still consider Druze. Druze people don't have like the Kurds as an example, or the Mandayans or the Yazidis. They don't have their language. They don't have their to be considered like fully an ethnic group or an ethno-linguistic group. So because I don't know, because if you compare the Levantine which the same point that you mentioned before about the other Levantine Christians, the language they speak, it's not Arabic. It's a shift, or it's a new language. It was a shift from the Aramaic or the Syriac to the Arabic. Druze speak this language. They don't speak the standard Arabic, or the Arabic that's spoken by the Arab clans or tribes, or the Arabic in the peninsula. That's why, and they are live in separation. And if you search, if you try to take a look to the genetic research that were done about Druze people, they have a unique genetic composition, which is different.
Really? Different from other Lebanese, for instance. Yes.
Actually, they are somehow, because they were an isolated community. Yeah. Some Lebanese mixed, like as an example, let us talk about the Christian Lebanese. A lot of Syrian Christians migrated to Lebanon, and Armenians and other people, and they mixed with those people. But for the Druze people, they know, like they were living, or they still live in isolation. They never mixed with other people.
So my question is, like, what type of DNA test do you take? Is there a specific one that you have taken that you think is better than others to determine?
Actually, when I came to Canada, the first thing that I decided to do is to take my DNA test or through an ancestry DNA company. Okay,
I've done that one, and I did 23andMe. I was just wondering if you had a preference.
I think it's better than 23andMe or the family tree DNA. This is what I think, because you know what? After I got my results, I tried to compare my results through the matching. You match your results, and I found 10 out of 15. My first, like, you will have, if you do it through DNA or ancestry DNA, you will see through the website you can match your DNA. So 10 out of 15 among the top 15 results were actually from the same family, another branch from the same family in Lebanon. And they never knew, the website, the company, they never knew anything about me. So that's why I was sure it's pretty much accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, Ancestry has a much larger pool of people that test, for sure. They also have family trees connected. 23andMe, you don't have a tree connected, and it's a fewer people test with them. So yeah, Ancestry is probably a better choice. I would see, if you want to see like your actual cousins.
Yeah.
So I think, Julia, you and Carlos probably have some ancestors in common, because he says that your great grandfather came from the Bikaa Valley. Is that right?
My mom's family came from Bikaa Valley, a city called Suwayada. And my father's family came from a small town called Bet Khanai in Matn, in Mountain Lebanon. And we still have, like, our family is still there, like our cousins and our, like, they're still there. And yeah, it's not very far. It's just 100-something years ago. Yeah. So we could share the same roots, I guess. Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe. That would be interesting, but like with my ancestors, I don't really know their story. I guess they were probably Maronites converted to Presbyterianism. I really don't know, because what I found out is what I learned on my own. Because in my grandpa's time, he was born here, even though he called himself Syrian. I think he was really Lebanese, but he didn't really even know everything because his parents immigrated. So a lot of that information was lost. So it will be very difficult for me to
Here's the
find
point. Because so many people, when the first wave of migrations from the Levant toward the New World, the US and Canada, were from Syria, because back then it was Syria. There was no, like, it was not country, it was a region called Syria.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, there was no like Syria and Lebanon and other countries because it was the Ottoman Empire. That's why they called themselves Syrians before all of them. Like the famous Lebanese American Gibran, Khalil Gibran, he's famous author and poet, and he's Lebanese, like he's fully Lebanese, but he is considered Syrian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's interchangeable. It just seems more culturally Lebanese to me. Like when I see a lot of my cousin matches or were born in Lebanon, like fourth cousin matches on that side.
Yeah.
I don't know all the story, but I do know that my second great grandfather was born in Lebanon. I know that. Like, but this took a long time for me to find out what I did learn. It was very hard for me to find out that much, so I don't know anything beyond that.
So both of your parents are Levantines?
No, my dad's half. I'm a quarter. Like, see, I'm talking about like my grandpa's side of the family.
Yeah,
I'm a quarter. Like, I'm interesting. I'm like 75% English and 25%, I guess, Lebanese. I'm a very interesting mix. You see.
Yeah. But you still have the surname, the Lebanese surname. But I think I agree with you. It's mostly Maronite.
It's Hanna. Yeah.
Yeah. Hanna is mostly Maronite, the Maronite surname. Yeah. Because so many people of those converted to another faith, to another Catholic Christianity or the Protestant faith or something. Yeah, it's interesting. So basically, I believe through the results that I've got, Druze and Maronites at some point were the same people actually in the mountain.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if we go far back enough, then all of the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Lebanese of various sorts all go back to the Canaanite heritage.
And the point, I think, I'm not sure if you saw the study that was done through History Channel about the Jesus strand. About the Shroud of Turin, like Jesus skull. Yeah, they found you should take a look. If you didn't before, you should take a look. And they found out that the closest people now to Jesus' DNA are the Druze people, actually. And some people misunderstood this. They thought like Jesus was a Druze. No, there was no Druze back then. It means Druze belong to the same tribe or to the same people where Jesus came from 2,000 years ago.
Well, then in that case, we're all Palestinians, we're all Canaanites, right?
Yeah. The ancient people of the Holy Land. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, all of us.
We're biblical characters. That's what people call me. They're like,
right.
I'm just.
So, do you follow Nassim Taleb at all? Do you follow what he's been saying about what's happening in Lebanon right now?
Pardon me, who?
Nassim Taleb.
He's very
Nassim Taleb. No.
Well, you should. He's very interesting and
very fascinating.
Yes, and he suggests, he believes in local rule. He calls it localism. And he believes that small communities in Lebanon should be able to rule themselves and not have everything so centralized.
To be confederalism, I feel of actually this is the best thing to do in Lebanon. Actually, it was the fault of the French when they made Sykes-Picot agreement. They've divided the countries in a wrong way. Like as an example, they got. For me, I believe Muslims, they should stay in one country, a separate country, because they don't get along. And the two parts of them are like Sunni or Shia Muslims. They would like to try to control Lebanon or the other Lebanese and to join them either to the Arab Empire or the Persian Empire, with the Shiite one. And it's so bad. Here's the problem. Druze always find themselves in the middle without any allies. As an example, Sunni Muslims in Lebanon, they have Saudi Arabia and somehow Turkey sometimes, or the Arab countries. Shia Muslims, they have Iran, because the Shiite empire can protect them, can fund them. Somehow, every Christian group can find French, Russian, something, but the Druze have nothing. When the state of Israel actually was founded, it could be the only ally for the Druze people. That's why since the time that Israel was founded or was created, was declared, 1948, they were so keen and they worked so hard to separate between them, to make a conflict between Druze and Israel. Because you know what happened? I know, like, one of my mom's father, he has passed many years ago, but he was telling me about this story. In 1948, they forced them to go to fight. They told them, when the state of Israel was founded, they told them, the Jewish people are killing your people in northern Israel. Go to defend them. Go to fight against the new state. He told me, when we got into the Galilee, when we reached that we saw nothing. We saw the Druze actually cooperating with the Jews, like they tricked us. So he said, I came back. I didn't want to fight, but so many Jews from non-Druze, they became Israelis. They joined the Israelis in Israel, and they became Israelis. So in the other part of the land in Syria, people were brainwashed, and they are still brainwashing them. You say, like, because they know if those communities, like Druze, Maronites, and the other small communities, if they cooperate with Israel, they eliminate the Arab existence, or the Arab dominance in the Levant. And this, even like I believe even the war between the Druze and the Maronites in Mountain Lebanon, which happened in 1860, it was created by the Ottomans. The Ottomans, they try always to make something, or to make problems, or to create problem between Druze and Maronite, because they didn't want them to cooperate, because for the first time when cooperated, they could find the first state in Lebanon, was Prince Fakhruddin, if you heard of him, who tried to attack the Ottomans, or to liberate the Levant from the Ottomans. And the Ottomans are considered themselves like Sunni Muslims, but they don't want so. Yeah.
No, I said thank you for clarifying that, because I was always curious, like, why the Druze would be fighting with the Maronites. So it sounds like the Ottomans created that conflict.
Yeah.
And that.
Yes. So what happened, if you want me to talk about it, Druze people, like, it was the mountain, it was two parts, the north and the south, and the Druze were stronger than the Maronites, because they are men of war, actually. Since the beginning of their existence, they were warriors. That's why they were powerful, and they had lands, and they started distributing and giving the Christian lands, especially Prince Fakhruddin. He was very good to the Christian communities. They gave them land, they start building churches. So here, the point, the Ottomans started sending some messengers to the Maronites and telling them, how would you accept Druze prince to rule you? You should revolt against the Druze prince. It was not like this the case. Like, he was Druze, but he was not treating the Maronite as a Druze, actually. He was treating everyone in his state, the first Lebanon, the first state he created in Lebanon. But the Ottomans, they brainwashed them, and they encouraged them to revolt against the prince. And after they killed the prince, actually, they got another prince who is Sunni Muslims and was converted to Maronite Christianity. It's called Shihab, Bashir Shihab. He's famous. And this prince actually started persecuting the Druze by the name of the Maronite, and he was not even Maronite, he was Sunni Muslim. And that's how they started fighting and killing each other. Unfortunately, it was a very dramatic and very bloody war. So many people, they migrated. That's why my family left or fled from Mountain Lebanon to southern Syria after this war, actually.
Oh. Yeah, that's
and
hear more about the truth behind the story, because I had always been confused about that. So thank you for explaining it.
No, you are welcome. So, and politicians, like politicians, mostly in Lebanon, they have their own interests, and they always try to hide the truth, or to change the truth, or to fake it, or to fake the facts. That because those leaders, they would like people to start fighting, or to keep fighting each other, because if people cooperate, those leaders would have no position, would have no point to rule, actually.
It's true everywhere. Divide and conquer politics. Nothing's new under the sun.
So do you have any hope of ever returning to your homeland, or have you decided to stay in Canada?
Actually, I came here to stay here because I cannot go back when I was in Syria, and I can talk about it, I have no problem because I'm safe now. I was actually working, I was communicating with Israeli people when I was in Syria before the civil war. And when I left to Lebanon, I thought it was a safe place for me, but it was not. And I was caught by the military intelligence in Lebanon.
Oh no.
No.
I was jailed. Yeah, it was so horrible time, and I was accused of cooperating with the Israelis, working with them, or spying for them. And I was so lucky. Yeah, I got the chance to leave that place, and I don't think I will go back there. Maybe I can go to Israel or to Jordan to visit the Levant, but Lebanon and Syria at this time, I don't think that I can go back there.
Yeah.
Especially now, Lebanon and Syria, they are both under the Iranian control, and unfortunately, Lebanon now is the same as Syria, under the Iranian control.
Really? But there are protests now. Have you been watching what's been going on?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because my mom and my sister, they still live in Lebanon, in Beirut, and I have so many friends living there, and they keep telling me more information. They keep me updated. But the problem is here, like, no one is ready to stand or to support them. The Europeans are too weak now. The States is busy and it's pulling out after Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Like, they've ruined everything. And for me, the last thing administration was George W. Bush's administration in the States. And after then, things are getting like bad. Barack Obama started pulling out, and now Donald Trump doesn't care and is ruling the States as his about that. Because I know if the States try to do something serious, the Iranians would realize or would understand it's something serious. Like, we cannot go on. But no, they don't. That's why now the Iranians would push more power and will violently try to stop those demonstrations. I hope not, but this is what people are talking about. And here's the problem: the Druze community and the Christian community, the Maronite community, which is against the Iranians and the Syrians, and the other Druze community are accused of cooperating with the States to get rid of Hezbollah in Iran, in Lebanon.
Well, what is Hezbollah doing in Lebanon anyway? I mean, what's their business there?
You know, they are funded by Iran, and they are just spending money on those Shia people. That's why they're keeping them loyal to Iran or to the Iranian regime. And the other people now, they have no weapons. As an example, either Druze, Maronites, or the other groups in Lebanon, they have no funds, they have no weapons, they have no one just to support them with something real or something, not just by talking like the States or Europe, like, yeah, we support you, we stand with you. Iran is supporting them, like giving them weapons, giving them money, yeah, unlimited money, and those people are ready to fight for Iran and to keep blackmailing the West and Israel and threatening Israel. This is like an imperial plan by Iran, by the Iranian. And here's I will go back to the topic, to the Druze. Actually, Iran now and the Arab countries, they are playing a dirty game against the Druze community, either in Syria or in Lebanon. They are trying to convert them because now there's a poverty. After the civil war in Syria and after what's going on in Lebanon, people have no money. And people would do anything just to survive, actually. And the Iranians have a lot of money. They try to play some dirty game to convert those communities or to promote their faith or their ideology among those communities. Because, you know, when people are frustrated and depressed, they would do anything just to get money. They play this now between, you know, near the Golan Heights, those places. They try to especially those Druze villages in Mount Hermon, what's called Kalajandal, one of them, Hadar, one of them, those near Marjal Shams, but on the Syrian part, they try to give them money to fund them and to let them fight or to create groups, militant groups, loyal to Iran to fight against Israel, which is something really dangerous. And I wonder why, since the beginning of the civil war, Israel has done nothing in southern Syria, because now there's a chance actually for the Israelis Israelis to take over the place, actually, or just to protect the place.
Well,
But that,
yeah, that would be very nice. But, you know, it's the United States who keeps telling Israel not to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, I think Israel wanted to go against Iran a long time ago, and the United States kept pressuring them not to do it.
it's because of Barack Obama, I know, but Donald, I was like, I had hope, but Donald Trump is doing exactly the same things as Barack Obama. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, because the Republicans and the Democrats are exactly the same, I'm afraid.
Pretty much, yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I'm a libertarian. I don't know if you follow the politics, but
I
there
follow
is a different road. You don't have to be one of those.
I'm actually conservative, and my favorite U.S. administration. People don't like them. It's George W. Bush administration. I like them.
Okay. Well, I was thinking you were going to say Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, yeah. He is an exceptional leader, actually, and unfortunately now is a bad time for the States and for the whole world. Actually, you know what, Druze people, actually, when they started the movement against the Syrian army in Lebanon in 2005, when they started the revolution, the Lebanese revolution, they were cooperating with Condoleezza Rice and George W. Bush, and they had a lot of promises. We will keep going with you. We'll keep funding you and supporting you. And then when Barack Obama came, he changed everything. And people have started losing their trust in the States. So the States is unreliable ally. Has become
that's true. That is true. Look, it's true. The United States has never been a reliable ally, and I think that countries in the region should stop taking money from the United States. The United States should stop giving money because they give money to both sides of every fight. So just stop that, and maybe we can all solve our problems, you know?
Yeah, I see.
But if you are interested, Nassim Taleb comes from Lebanon, and in the description box down below, there's a link to one of his lectures that he gave about localism in Lebanon. And I think you will like.
Is he American Lebanese?
Well, I think he lives in America, but he was actually born in Lebanon.
He's born in Beirut, I believe, right?
Yes, I think so. He's a Greek Orthodox by religion, but yeah. But he's a local person there, and he wants to bring about sort of a peaceful revolution in Lebanon to allow different people from different communities to decide their own internal affairs.
It's nice, but now in Lebanon, it needs more than this support. It needs a powerful part to intervene in Lebanon. It's not easy.
I hope that will be Israel, but I don't know.
Hopefully.
It could be. You never know. You know, like the Lebanese Maronites and the Israelis got along, you know, many times. It was in some cases, so you never know.
But here's the problem now. Like 50% of the Maronites now are loyal to Iran because Iran is funding them, especially people who follow the president and his movement. This president, Michel Aoun, he's a strong ally to Hezbollah, and they have strong relationship with Iran and the Syrian regime. And this is too dangerous, not only for Israel, for the Maronite community in Lebanon, which is really bad, unfortunately. Like my favorite, if you follow the Lebanese politics, my favorite Lebanese leader is Samir Jaja, who was cooperating with the Israelis. This guy who sacrificed 11 years in the jail, and he refused to leave Lebanon, and he's still now there. But unfortunately, the Maronites, they don't follow him.
Oh.
Brainwashed, you know, like by the Syrian regime, by the Iranians, by Hezbollah. When you brainwash people and when you take their money or to leave them live in poverty and in a need, they will do anything for money, actually. And here's the problem. So like about the money, like when the Americans did the nuclear treatment with Iran and released the $400 billion when Barack Obama was the president, it was the worst nightmare for the Lebanese, for the Lebanese and for the Syrians, because those money were used to change people's loyalty in especially in Lebanon. Like they paid a lot of money. And now, like, it's not only the Maronite community, the Druze community is very close community, and they are very in unity. But now, so many Druze, they start changing their support. They are becoming loyal to Hezbollah and Iran as well, because the same point, like money. Because when people need money, like they can do anything. They can do anything. And unfortunately, we can watch and be sad about what's happening there.
But you say your sister and is your mother there, did you say? Or
They live there. Actually, most all of my family converted. They are Christians.
yes.
They're not Druze anymore, and they are living in the Christian part of Beirut, which is safe. The safest part in Lebanon is the eastern Beirut. But no, when there's war or there's conflicts or problems, nowhere is safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, these communities. Yeah.
So you're very fortunate, I think, to have been able to immigrate to Canada and be able to study. I think that's wonderful. Maybe your family will be able to join you eventually, do you think?
I was so lucky. Yeah.
So after you get your degree in anthropology, what do you plan to do?
Actually, I'm planning to continue my studies in genealogy after that, and I will research the Druze people and the other ethnic minorities in the Levant. I will try to make this because so far, just an Israeli genealogist and anthropologist was called Iran Haik, and he is, I guess, in the University of Houston in Texas, and he works actually. He has actually a bioanthropology lab, I guess, there, and he is the only one who has done DNA research about the Druze people.
Oh.
So, yeah, Druze people and the other ethno-religious minorities in the Levant should be studied ethnically. Yeah.
So you're also studying genetics, is that right?
No, I'm just in bioanthropology, but after that, after getting my degree, I will try to go to the genealogy or the genealogist field.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy because I'm studying a lot of things now, like cultural anthropology, linguistics, and bioanthropology. It's very broad thing.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's important for me as an example, as someone who came from a Druze community and trying to study those people. It's important. It's more important for me actually. So, but studying those people, talking again about Druze people, specifically Druze, because they are close community and they always refuse to cooperate when you want to make studies on them. Another point about Druze people, you know, the reincarnation. They believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, we watched an Israeli television show about a little boy in Majda who spoke only English, and they said he's reincarnated.
Yeah. The kid's name was O'Neill. He was named after Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes, that's right. That's the one.
Yeah, actually, not only him. I've saw so many people. I've seen so many people were telling stories. Like in the beginning, I didn't believe till I saw some people telling stories. Like one time, I saw 3-year-old boy telling a story about a physician's life, and he was talking about medicine, and he was saying things like it's incredible. Like these things could never come out from a 3-year-old boy if he was normal. He was like, it was something crazy, and I don't know. That's why I would like to have more people or more scientists to do some serious studies about those people, because there's something weird and there's something special going on out there. And again, like so many points are not enlightened as well. And this is so important for me. And I couldn't find anyone. If you can help those communities or those people, or if you can help the academic faculty to study them, because there's a relation, I'm pretty sure, between the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Druze, and the essence and the Druze, because the law, again, because I saw some of the interpretations after the Dead Sea Scrolls, because I know the Israeli government didn't release them all. So many of them were kept.
Well, I'm interested in seeing them too, but you know, in the Hebrew Bible, there are many parts that have been kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so all of us want to see what they look like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the unusual parts, you know, the parts that point at previous religions, not
Exactly.
just.
And they were doing the same thing as the Druze people. They were a mystic group, and they were living in isolation. And actually, Druze people has a special position. They value Jonathan the Baptist, who is Johanna, they call him, and his father, who's Zachariah. They have a special position in the Druze faith. And if you go to the Druze communities and you try to enter their houses, you will see the head of John the Baptist in the plate with a knife in every Druze house.
Wow.
And I always wondered why. Like, why would you keep this?
That's a bit gruesome. But, yeah.
Actually, yeah. So I would like to have more studies on this point. And there is after this single genetic study that was done by Professor Iran Hayek about the Druze, he found out that the closest ethnic group now to the Ashkenazi Jews are the Druze, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow. That's pretty neat.
Everything is connected.
Yeah.
Definitely. It makes sense though too, Aya, though, because like I said, a lot of the Israeli or people that take the 23andMe test have very similar results to what I had. Like it makes sense to me. Yeah.
So I think we're all related, don't you?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah. So do we have any questions, Julia, from our
You know,
audience?
I've been watching, like we don't have any questions, but 5 people have been watching. That this is a very deep academic topic. So maybe people are just listening and trying to take it in, because I'm still trying to learn quite a bit.
If you have questions, you both, Aya and Julia, I'm ready to answer your questions. Like I've been talking some things that I want to say.
Well,
if you have questions, if you have your own questions.
I have a question, but I don't want to like be offensive. So anyway, if
no, you can ask. For me, I don't have those things or this political correctness. So
okay, well, I just if it's offensive, you don't have to answer. But anyway, I watched this documentary saying that Druze people only marry Druze people. So like yourself, are you only going to meet a Druze person? Is that something that you also?
Actually, no. The Druze community, it's unfortunately saying it's so racist. So they don't believe in mixing. They would never like mixing with the other people, even with the other communities. This is something very important for them. I have no idea why. They believe that they have somehow sacred blood, and they want to keep it. Something. Mm-hmm. I would say something stupid somehow, but this is what they believe in. But like so many of them, when you get married to someone else, you would never be Druze anymore, especially your offspring. They would never. Like it's different in Judaism. I know, as an example, if your mom is Jewish, it would be easier for you to convert or to go back to the community. But for the Druze community, like never. When you mix with other people, you won't be Druze anymore. Actually, my girlfriend is Canadian. Actually, it's English, British, French, something. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. For me, like I don't care about it. And for me, I still consider myself ethnically Druze. But I consider I'm Catholic. I'm Christian Catholic. So for me, here's the point: in the Levant, you cannot be the same. Like you cannot be both Druze and Catholic. Mm-hmm. You know, because those communities in Lebanon or in Syria. One of my cousins, actually, she is in Mountain Lebanon. She is Druze Lebanese. She is from the Mountain Lebanon. She got married to Greek Orthodox guy. And she was rejected by her family. Oh. Like only her sister is connecting with her. Like her brother, his father, and even her mother, like they abandoned her.
Wow.
They don't have problem with the community, but they had problem with her. Yeah. And
That's
So
too bad.
basically, people, they feel like they kind of have to marry somebody within the community or they'll be ostracized. It's very similar to like the Amish. Like, I don't know, you're familiar with the Amish, right? Like if
Yeah.
you have to
Like
marry
the
within,
Mennonites here in Canada. Yeah, they are similar to the Mennonites, I guess.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
marry within. And if you even talk to someone, like you'll kind of be, I don't know if it's that extreme, you could say, but it sounds
Yeah,
like
it's the minority policy. Once you become a minority in your community, then you always lose by people intermarrying. Whereas if you're in the majority, then you
Exactly.
can always accept more people.
Exactly.
So
I
that's fine.
agree, actually. Yeah, I think it's the fear of losing your identity. They have this fear. They are paranoid about losing their identity, or they think people would like to steal it. Like, no, this is not gonna happen. And the new generation, actually, especially in Lebanon now, the new generations, like they are just abandoning this traditions, like, and they don't have problems actually. And but so many of them, they are still committed. Like I met some people here. They are actually first and second generations Canadians, but they were like originally their parents originally were Druze or came from Lebanon, and they're still looking for Druze people to
Yeah, on my Instagram,
Yeah.
after I started writing about Druze, there's something called Druze Link. They followed me
yeah,
and
I know that website. Yeah.
so it's a dating service just for Druze, right?
Yeah, actually. Like some people, one time I met, was funny. One of my friends, an American Irish, is Messianic from Boston,
Uh-huh.
and she was in that website. And
Oh, really? Wow.
it was something wonderful. And I asked her, like, she became my friend, and she became a close friend, actually. She was in Israel. Here's the point. She was married to an Israeli guy.
Yeah.
And she met so many Druze, and she lived in those Druze villages in the Galilee. That's why she was so interested, because, and she considered herself actually part of the Druze community.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
And she tried to go through that website. Yeah, so those kind of websites, they have those kind of websites just to date another Druze people, or to find someone Druze to get married to. But it will become like harder and harder in the future. They can't keep up on it. It's the same thing as the Samaritans, right, in Israel, and they are going to extinct soon. They are less than 900 now, their population. Yeah, because the inbreeding, actually, like, I study this in anthropology, and inbreeding is so dangerous, like, and they keep
that's true.
those communities, like, it's.
Yeah. Well, unless you go all the way and you call out all the bad traits, but yeah, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, actually, there are some positive, some in the Druze faith, about the Druze faith, the culture. There are some positive points and aspects, and some negative one. Like the positive one, they are very Druze people. They are very tolerant people. They are very loyal people, and they are very dedicated people. If they promise you, they will protect you, and they will pay their blood, and they will be ready to die for you. Actually, they pay their lives and they sacrifice to protect, even if you don't belong to the community. And they did it so many times. And one time they made war with France because one Lebanese guy, he was a refugee in southern Syria because he tried to kill the Lebanese governor, the French governor in Lebanon, and he escaped to Syria. And they told him that, yeah, you are safe here, we can protect you. And the French came and they killed him. And they declared the war on France because of this guy.
Wow.
So Druze people are very loyal, they are very generous, and they are nice people, but they turn into evil people and so aggressive people when you try to go through to change their cultural traditions, or like as an example about marriage things, or changing their faith or their lifestyle. They would become really like so aggressive people. And
care deeply. They don't want to lose their culture, it sounds like, right? It's just so important to them, right?
Exactly.
So let me ask you another question. It's kind of nitpicky, but as a linguist, it's interesting to me. Why is your given name Carlos? Is that a Druze name?
Yeah, it has become, Druze people don't have problem with any cultures. You can find Druze people named after Arabs. You can find Druze people named, as an example, in my home city where I was born, there was a guy called Benjamin. Not Benjamin, Benjamin. It's a very Jewish name. And from another guy called Shaul. You can
Yeah.
find people called Ahmed. You can find people called as Daniel. You can find people called Elia, Johnny, Ronnie. Many girls actually named Sarah, Elena, Liliana. So Druze people, they don't have problems with any culture. They are very easygoing people when it comes to these things. They don't have problems. If you go to Southern America, as an example, you would find a huge Druze community in Venezuela and Colombia, less in Brazil and Argentina, and most of them would have Spanish names, like Spanish. Yeah.
If you were born in Syria, right?
Yeah.
Then how did your parents choose Carlos?
Yeah, actually, I was named after an Argentinian president. He was originally Syrian or Lebanese Christian or half called Carlos Menem.
Yeah.
I was named after him. I was named after him.
Okay. Okay, that explains it. That's what I wanted to know.
Actually, and I always drink. This is a traditional drink of the Druze people. It came from Argentina. It's called the yerba mate.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're familiar with this, it's very Southern American thing, and it's Argentinian drink. It's as well. It's popular in the Uruguay and Brazil, but this is the traditional or the national drink for the Druze people in the Levant, especially in mountain Lebanon.
Oh,
If you
really?
if you go to Lebanon, any Lebanese will see this kind of drink with you. Will say, "Are you a Druze? Are you from the mountain?" It's fun, yeah.
I love that. Are you from the? That's amazing.
Yeah.
They don't say Druze. Actually, they say from the mountain. When they say from,
yeah, are you from the mountain? But what is the drink exactly? Like, what is it? Like,
actually, it's a tree. It's called Pachia Baraguenes thing. It's the Latin name, and it has a very big amount of caffeine, but healthy caffeine. But it's caffeine, so it will keep you awake, and will keep you happy.
Yeah.
You use it with you drink this. It has a special straw. It's called a pompija. And you hit hot water with it, and you keep like adding water and sucking and drinking. Actually. And the story of this, the first Lebanese immigrants to Argentina, after they started this in the 18th century. When they started going back to Lebanon from Argentina, they brought back this drink with them. That's why it has become pretty much common in mountain Lebanon.
Oh, well, we'll have to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have it on our cooking show. What do you think, Julia?
I would like to. So where could you buy the drink? Like,
how do you make it? How do you make
exactly.
it?
How do you make it exactly? The ingredients.
The drink, you can find the thing, the cup, what's called, you can call it the calabash or the calabasa or the gourd on Amazon. And you can find as well the straw, it's called the mompija on Amazon. And if you would like to get the herb, it's called herba or yerba mate.
Oh, yerba mate, you said? Yerba mate?
Yeah, yerba mate or herba mate.
Oh, I know what yerba mate is. Okay, I've had yerba mate, and it's very similar to yerba sante, which grows up in the mountains. But then one time I mistakenly thought I ate yerba sante, and it turned out to be poodle dog bush. But there's another herb that's similar to yerba mate. I've had yerba mate, but it was store made, so maybe it's not the authentic kind like what you're drinking.
Yeah, actually, in Lebanon, people add sugar to it, but the Argentinians, they don't add sugar, and you have to drink it like this. It's a little bit bitter without sugar, but you have to drink it this way. When you add sugar, it will be a bad thing for your body or for your health. So don't add sugar to it. Yeah. So it has become one of the Druze cultural elements or cultural traditions in the Middle East, in either Lebanon and Syria. In Israel's less, they have different things in Israel, and they don't bring this a lot. They are a little bit different. So just one point to mention is the difference between the community. The Israeli Druze community, it's way more conservative than the other Druze communities in Syria and in Lebanon. They are more conservative, and actually, they are more loyal. They are like, I don't want to say like bad words or things, but they are more loyal to their country, or they are more dedicated than the other Druze. Like as an example, among the Druze in Syria or Lebanon, you can find Druze who can be small. You can buy them actually. You can buy them literally by money. But in Israel, you cannot do them with the Israeli Druze. They are still very authentic and very dedicated.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have a very good reputation in Israel.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I know that it's a very sensitive thing in the Israeli army, or even the Israeli Air Force or the Mossad. But the Druze can have higher positions, very high ranks. As an example, now the leader or the commander of the West Bank with Judea and Samaria is Druze. Like, so his name is Kamil Hassoun, I guess. Yeah, he's a Druze guy. Yeah, so it's something nice, actually. And it was a struggle for me as a person who was born in a Druze in Syria, how to perceive Israel. And it was a problem for me, but I like it because I liked Israel. And this Ba'ath party in Syria, it's anti-Semitic party. They have kind of similar ideology to the Nazi party. It's the National Socialism, and they have the same thing. And because they have Muslim backgrounds, they are as well the same as the Nazis. They are anti-Semitic people. And they were demonizing Israel, and they are still demonizing Israel. So they have a lot of theories of conspiracy about every bad things or every problem or every disaster happens. It's because of Israel, or the Israeli did this. This is how they promote Israel. They try to demonize Israel, especially in the Druze community, because they know the special relation between the Druze, the Israeli Druze, and their state. And they know that there's a unity in the Druze community. So Druze people would never hate Druze. Even they know, actually, this is another point to mention. Druze people in Syria are very loyal to the country, and they're in the army. And Druze in Israel are very loyal to the state of Israel. And the countries are at war, actually, Syria and Israel. But the Druze people on both sides, they still communicate through Jordan with each other. And they would never consider the others as enemies. And after the civil war, the Syrian Druze community was abandoned by the state, and they were left alone. And the only one who helped them and to get some money, actually, they made I don't know how to call this. It was a donation thing in Israel, and they could gather $20 million in Israel. They sent them actually through Jordan, to Jordanian Druze, to the Syrian Druze, which is very nice thing, actually. Yeah, it doesn't happen in any other country or state, only in Israel.
Yeah. So maybe after you decide to do the genetic research, maybe you'll come to Israel and do that there.
I will actually. Yeah, I will. In Israel and the Golan Heights, it would be more interesting because they are considered Syrian Druze communities.
Right. Yes.
They are the most isolated Druze community, actually, the Golan Heights. If you want to see pure Druze, very in the Golan Heights, they are very isolated.
Okay, so I have another question about the Druze community. It's similar to the Amish. And once again, I don't want to offend anybody. So everybody marries within their community. One thing with the Amish is their genetic pool has become very small. So some people ended up having birth defects. Is this something that has happened?
They have malformations. They have a lot of malformations and disabilities and a lot of inherited diseases, right? Because of the inbreeding. Actually, yes. Yeah. Actually, now, nowadays, Druze communities have been getting diagnosed with so many of those diseases and disabilities, especially like cancers or some inherited diseases like the anemia or so on, or a weakening in the resistance because of the inbreeding, actually. Yes, you're right.
Well, I was just curious because I wasn't sure, because I thought, well, is there a genetic pool? Maybe it's large enough. I didn't know if they could figure that out. I didn't know. I was just curious, actually.
Actually, for the Druze in community in Syria or Lebanon, it would be easier, but because of the genetic pool would be way larger than the Druze community in the Golan Heights. It's a very small community, and there are barely 25,000 people.
Do they accept modern medicine though? Because I think, the Amish might not.
Yeah. They are not anti-vaccination, actually. No. They don't have this problem. And they don't have a problem with technology like the Amish or the Mennonites or the Hutterites against new technology. They don't have this problem. Actually, they have the same kind of lifestyles and ideologies about keeping themselves isolated, but they don't have problems with. They get along with and actually are pretty much. I don't know how to say this. People there, they can easily integrate with a new community. Like when they move to Germany, they act like Germans. When they move to the States, they become Americans. When they live in the Christian community, they act like Christians and they drink like them and they eat like them. In Israel, they try to get this is because they have. I think it's something traditional, and they follow this as something in their culture, and it's something religious as well. Because their leader, one of the founders of the religions, was Hamza bin Ali. Before he left, this is what I believe. And this is I will talk about the religion now, about their faith. Before he closed the faith or the movement, they closed it and they stopped accepting people. He told them it was the last message of him. He told his followers, the Druze people, just whoever took over you, I'm talking about the majority, just follow them and get along with them and keep me inside your hearts. Don't try to show me. Keep me inside you and follow the others, follow the majority. And wait me till I come by the end of the time. This is actually their faith, or it's part of their beliefs.
It's kind of like the Christian faith.
Yeah, give unto Caesar what is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So many parallels, Aya. I think there's something going on here,
Well, yeah.
Actually, as Christian, I tried so hard, especially when I was living between them, to bring new people to the faith and to have them all Christians. But it was too dangerous for me, and that's why I was excluded from the community, especially after doing this.
Yeah. Well, it's also good to live and let live, So too much proselytizing can be a bad thing,
Yeah. They would consider someone like me as a threat. So sorry, yeah.
No, I said I guess it's a fine line. You can share what you believe, but you don't want to push it onto others, I guess.
It's not pushing actually, it's about it's part of the Christian faith. Like you have to show people the message of God. This is what I believe. Even though that's why I sometimes, even if I have a Catholic faith, I always criticize the Catholic Christianity, because Protestants in Lebanon and Syria, they try to show the other people faith. They would try to bring people, not by pushing them or promoting, forcing them. They just show them the Bible, show them the Catholic Church actually is doing nothing, literally nothing. They stopped doing nothing. And I was talking to them why are you keeping silent? This is you are here just to send a message to the other people. I know it's hard in those communities, especially in the Islamic countries, but it was very how can I say this?
Discouraging?
I don't know. Yeah, actually.
Well, I think you should listen to Nassim Taleb, and he talks about the difference between the golden rule and the silver rule. So the golden rule, at least Christians believe, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But sometimes other people don't want that. They don't want what you want. And so it's better, it's better to say, okay, if something is terrible that you don't want done to you, then don't do it to somebody else. That's a silver rule.
So I have another question. Are you committed to being Catholic, or would you consider other Christian faiths that are a little bit
No. For me, I'm a Catholic Christian, but I don't consider other Christians as heretics. No. Not Christian.
But I guess what I'm trying to convey is, it sounds like you want to be part of a Christian group that's a little bit more open about sharing their faith, I don't know, an evangelical group. It just sounds like to me you would feel I don't want to tell you where you would feel comfortable, but it just sounds kind of like you would feel more comfortable.
Actually, I worked with a lot of Protestant people when I was there in Syria, but actually, even the Catholic Church needs a reform, needs someone like to fix or to adjust the thing. I have the Catholic, but I don't agree 100% or completely with the church, with the central church, with the Vatican. This is one of the point actually, and I believe like Protestant churches are more open.
So how did you decide to become a Catholic? I guess that's our question.
Oh yeah, it's actually it's part of, since we were kids, we have this thing, so we're living kind of among Christian surroundings or neighborhood, and my mom's family was more into Christian faith or ideology, and I started reading the Bible since I was child, and it has become eventually a decision. It's a self-decision actually.
Okay. And it just so happens that the Christian church that was available to you at that time was the Catholic one. Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, you have to find, like, you cannot. It's not easily. So it's not easy to find those things, especially in an Islamic country. It's something dangerous. But if you want it, and if you are a true believer, you can get what you want.
That's interesting, because I had heard in Syria that it was easier to be Christian or Catholic, but you're saying it's not, that it's difficult.
No, it's actually, if you are already Christian there, like you will live, you have to live, this already, you have to live as a second-class citizen. You cannot be a prime minister, you cannot be a president, you cannot nominate, you cannot get, even if you want to build a church or a Christian community, you have to get a lot of permissions before this. But if you want, it's not allowed, it's against the law there for non-Christians to become Christians. And here's the hypocrisy. And I don't know how the Western countries deal with the Islamic countries. For me, as an example, if I was ruling a Western country, like for me, I would not allow you to come here to this country till you change the law and to let people believe whatever they want. Because I know so many people in the Middle East, either Syria, Lebanon, and other parts, they have Christian faith, and they were faking their faith because they cannot convert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've heard about that for sure. That's interesting, though.
But for the Druze people, this is something about Druze. For the Druze people, even if you are the community, you would be excluded. You would be considered like an outsider after that, but they would never try to hurt you or to kill you, unlike Muslims.
Yeah.
Like Muslims would die, because in Islam, if you thought about conversion, you would be killed. Like, even this is an Islamic law. Even some Islamic communities, they tolerate this nowadays. They are not very committed to their religion, but in the Islamic religions, you are killed if you thought of conversion. But for the Druze community, no, it's different. Like, you can do it. Simply, you would be like abandoned, and you would be excluded from the community, but they would never try to hurt you.
Okay, so it's like being excommunicated then.
Yeah.
So your mother and your sister, did they also convert to Catholicism?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I have another sister who lives in Germany, actually, and she was Catholic. She became Protestant, and she is Catholic again now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is probably a good place to wrap up. We really thank you for joining us and telling us all about this, and perhaps we can keep in touch, and if you have something new to report, either about one of the Druze communities or about yourself or about genealogy, then we'll have you back.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much, Aya and Julia, for having me tonight, and I was so happy to talk and to explain all the things, to answer your question. And actually, if you would like to have sometimes, I know it's a very broad topic. We talked about religion, about ethnicities, about DNA, about history, politics. If you would like to have more specific topic next time to talk about it, so we can talk about religion or about history or about politics, I will be more than happy to be with you again and to answer your questions and to answer if we have some people watching us would like to know more about this community or those people. I will be ready to talk and to answer the questions. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank you
good
so much.
night. Good
Yeah.
night, Carla. Good night, Julia.
Good night.
Good night. Have a
It was
good night.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night.